she wrote in tribute to Judge Thurman.
Good evening. The poem is called Judge for Humanity. The local and global community is in disarray, with lack of the rule of law and with armed conflicts. Racism, favoritism, nepotism, classism, elitism, and other social ills are more plagues. To be gone, but not forgotten, and to never resurface. To be replaced with systems to address basic human needs. Judge for humanity. You lead from wokeness and integrity. The hope is an ethical and compassionate leadership, bringing lived experience with awareness of the struggles that many lack: food, housing, health access. A woman leader who uses the bench and her power to listen first in order to guide, rehabilitate, empower. Knowing that infrastructures of healing, justice, and security, such as financial, food, housing, health, climate, in all forms are necessary and a human right. Judge for humanity. You lead from listening and empathy. The systemic changes in law, justice, other sectors is possible by heart-centered and ethical leaders who are bold, courageous, disruptive, adaptive, who shares and cares with peers and community, and stands with other leaders for other leaders to rise. Judge for humanity. You lead from inclusion and equity. Thank you.
Thank you, Narima.
I'm sorry, I was so emotional about
to an essay submission that I wrote 20 years ago when I was trying to get funding for my legal education. It just reflects so much of what I feel when I'm in these moments, so I just want to share it with you. And I timed it, it should be up in 5 minutes. Applying for this scholarship is one means by which I may continue to support the financial demands of my legal education, while I provide for my family and continue to strive for those goals that even now I am told are impossible. I've always known that I wanted to be a lawyer, even as the pursuit of a legal education is never imagined as a goal that someone like me would ever have or be able to realize. In fact, for those like me, a legal education is often seen as an intangible goal, yet it is a stark reality of the intricate impact that the law has had on my life that has compelled and imbued my legal aspirations. Having reached nearly the end of law school, there is not a day that I do not reflect upon the material conditions of my life, conditions that I am still struggling to overcome. I often think of how I will use my story to inspire and propel even the most exhausted of spirits. For though it is one of great pain, it is also one of triumph and courage. Vividly as if it were yesterday, I can recall entering the University of Washington as a freshman. I was not an average freshman by any means. I was 18 years old, a single mother escaping an abusive relationship, and staying in a shelter for homeless teenage parents. Yet I marched through campus carrying my backpack, my baby in one hand, and books in the other. Accessing public resources, rotating between the phone and the heat, and sometimes simply going without, I pushed through my undergraduate education. I sought a legal education out of a desire to hone the critical skills that I would need to effectively advocate for those like myself, disposable and vulnerable within the family law court system. Our desires dictated, our values not acknowledged, our goals ridiculed. Society, at that time and still, criminalized being poor, and the conditions, or combinations rather, of being poor, Black, and female, as demonized as tropes of the welfare code reign in political discussions of public resources, particularly welfare. But I've continued to focus on the importance of gaining the intellectual tools that I need to reshape the narrative for my experience and my future. The pursuit of a legal education has dramatically altered my life. I have literally fought to stay in school, and even now there are still barriers and obstacles placed before me. Despite this, I've continued my legal studies, understanding how this education is essential for me to strengthen and hone the skills that I need. I want to use my legal profession to challenge our social policies and laws surrounding issues of welfare, poverty, racial and gender discrimination, and access to justice. Having struggled as a poor minority woman in the family law court system, I know how vulnerable and invisible it is possible to become when one is without adequate legal resources and advocates. I know all too well how the system itself can become an instrument of the very violence one seeks to escape. And yet I am choosing to re-enter this arena. But I've strived to write a different narrative of my future, the story of the young teenage mother struggling to find safety in a system that perpetuated her abuse is a story that I will continue to remember and share. This scholarship will be of great assistance to me as I work towards the completion of my law degree and the beginning of a legal career dedicated to assisting others in rewriting narratives of their future by providing them with much needed legal resources and services. That's what I wrote 20 years ago. 20 years later, I am absolutely humbled and grateful that I have been able to honor those commitments. I accept this award as a marker of my continued commitment to do that work. Thank you so much.